I'm Terry Hoover, and along with my wife Diane, we make certified organic maple syrup. We invite you to come along and enjoy the Hoover's maple experience, right from the bush to the sap shack to the finished maple products, which you can enjoy at home. We are members of the Ontario Maple Syrup Producers Association, as well as the Ontario Woodlot Association, and we have an environmental farm plan. So here we are in the woodlot. In Canada, we call the woodlot a bush. The green leaves are busy at work, converting sunlight into sugar via photosynthesis, and then all the sugar is stored in the roots for the winter. In preparation for the next season, we walk our 11 kilometers of lines and maintain and fix anything that needs to be done ready for the next season. While the bush is asleep, we are hard at work thinning and improving the woodlot and getting firewood out, which is part of our sustainability plan. And of course, we use the wood for the evaporator to make the syrup. So all of our wood is 4 feet long, and it's cut and split and piled to dry, ready for the following season. Here we are stringing out a new line, and then once it's completed, it will stay out year round with the rest of our lines. So here we are starting the tapping process. We look for a suitable maple tree, and we tap all hard maples. The interesting thing is, everybody will tell you what a maple leaf looks like because it's on our Canadian flag. However, when we tap the trees, there's no leaves to be seen anywhere. So we have to go by the bark on the tree. So a hard maple has a coarse bark. So then, the other thing you have to know is proper tapping guidelines. So we measure the diameter at chest height. Anything under 10 inches in diameter is too young, it's too small to tap. Then 10 inches to 15 gets 1 tap, and then 15 to 20 inches can have 2. So now we drill a 5/16 hole on a slight downward angle and tap the spile into the hole. You want to make sure the hole's clean before you do that, and it's tapping a tree, not pounding a tree, not hammering a tree. So it's just tap, tap, thud, and you're done. The spile's seated, and you move on to the next tree. And then you'll look closely, you'll see the sap goes down the drop line, and then the drop line runs into the lateral line. The lateral line runs laterally from tree to tree, and then into a main line, and then the main lines all end up going up to the sap shack where it's processed. So the back half of our bush goes in main lines to a manual sap extractor, which is under vacuum. And then once the extractor is full, it trips a switch and it dumps the sap into a waiting holding tank underneath. So during the tapping process, you will notice we use a lot of specialized tools, and this makes the job much easier and simpler. So the interesting point about tapping a maple tree is, on average, 250 gallons goes up the tree in sap, and we only take out approximately 2 gallons. So we leave lots of sap for the tree to grow and use. So it's kind of like us giving blood. As long as you maintain proper tapping guidelines, then the tree will be healthy for over 100 years. On an average day, or a beginning run as we call it, when the sap's flowing, it'll dump every 1.5 to 2 minutes. But on a good run or a peak flow day, it will dump every 30 seconds. So it's really going fast then. So once the sap dumps into the holding tank, there's a float inside there on a mechanism called a reverse slope, and all done by vacuum, no hydros involved at all. The sap is brought uphill 15 feet and 600 feet to the front of the bush. This is the vacuum booster. This is where the sap from the back of the bush comes up the reverse slope and mixes with the sap from the front of the bush. and goes 1,500 feet all the way up to the sap shack underground on a downhill slope. So this is an electric sap extractor. This is where the sap comes in underground, 9 feet down, and it's all under vacuum, and it flips a switch once it's full, and there's a submersible pump inside, and it pumps the sap up into one of our many holding tanks. So next we have the reverse osmosis machine. We just call it an RO for short, and just think of it as a big filter. The water goes right through, and the sugar molecules are held back, and the water is now called permeate, and we use it for washing. And the concentrate, which is the sugar held back, we now boil it. So what we do here, the sap coming in averages 2% sugar, which is 2 bricks, B-R-I-X, not like bricks in your house. And we take it up to 10 bricks for concentrate, and that goes up into the stainless steel feed tank that feeds the evaporator. So next up is the evaporator. This is the cooking process, and it just does like the name implies, it evaporates off water. So that's what we're doing. We're removing water as steam, and that's how we get maple syrup. There's absolutely nothing added to the sap. It is just we remove water, and we take it from the 2 bricks I originally talked about to 10, and now to 66. And it has to be 66 bricks to legally call it maple syrup. So here comes a pallet of wood that's been cut the year before. It's dry, ready for the fire, and we stoke the fire every 8 minutes. So every 8 minutes, a wheelbarrow load of wood goes into that forced air wood fire. And that pallet of wood there is going to last approximately an hour and a half. So the way we tell that it's maple syrup is by temperature. And we have to check this every single day because the water boils at a different temperature with different barometric pressure. So here we are checking the barometric pressure, and on this particular day it boiled at 210.0. So we add 7.2 to that, which is Fahrenheit, and so that day we're taking off at 217.2. And that can change every day from a sunshiny day to an overcast rainy day. And that's the number one thing we have to check to make sure we don't overboil or underboil our maple syrup. So once the temperature's correct, we drain it off into the finishing pan, and when the finishing pan is full, we run it through the filter press. And the filter press filters the syrup under pressure while it's hot, and we remove all of what it's called niter, and we call it sugar sand. So that takes out all the impurities. So now we take a final sample with a refractometer, and that is an exact instrument, and that will tell us the exact number of bricks. Now we have maple syrup, so we take a few more drops and put it into a light transmittance meter, and that's what tells us the color class. So once we have our correct bricks and our light transmittance number so that we know the color class, then it goes straight into a barrel, because when we're processing and boiling, we don't have time to package it into the various sizes. So it goes into a stainless steel drum where it's properly sealed until it's ready to be packaged. So then when we're ready to package into the various retail sizes, we open a drum of syrup, pump it back into the finishing pan, we reheat it up to 190 degrees, refilter it, and we put it into our hot water jacketed packager. And that just simply means it has a hot water jacket around where the syrup goes, so it keeps it at a constant 185 degrees Fahrenheit, so that mold doesn't live above 180 degrees. So we package everything what we call hot packing. So you'll notice that when you hot pack a bottle, there's a 4% shrink when the syrup cools down, thus giving you a better seal. So that is why the bottles look like they're not filled to the top, but they're filled to the top hot, and then there's that 4% shrink. So that's your clue when you see it in the store. If it's down that bit from the top, you know that's been hot packed, which is the proper way to pack maple syrup. So once we know the light transmittance value, we'll know the color class. We have no control over that. That's Mother Nature. And the lightest is golden, next is amber, followed by dark and very dark.